Welcome to Special Needs Palace, Faith and Action. For without action, then our faith is dead. My name is Eva Alphonse, a professional in special needs and early childhood development. In this channel, we're creating a society that is informed, inclusive, and updated on matters concerning special needs and disabilities. Please, I urge you to click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell for you to be notified anytime a new video is out. And in today's video, we're going to talk about some of the red lights or what can show you that your child could possibly be developing autism. Stay tuned and watch the video up to the end. So we already introduced autism in a video. If you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. We say that autism is a developmental disorder that affects a child's ability to communicate, interact, and the way they behave. So in today's video, we're going to look at some of the red lights or symptoms that can show you a child could possibly be developing autism. And in this video, we shall be looking at the symptoms or the signs in order of communication, order of interaction, and how the children behave. So we're going to start with some of the social skills that can show you this child is not developing well and could be probably be developing autism. First sign on social skills that can show you a child could probably be developing autism is that these children do not respond to their names, or the level of responding to their names is very minimal. You can call even 100 times and they won't respond. They'll just continue doing what they're doing on their own without even noticing you're calling them, or they could notice but they just don't want to respond. They'll keep on concentrating on what they are doing and not responding to you when you call their name. So for example, their name is Jane. You can call Jane even 100 times, but they will not respond to you. They'll just be doing what they're doing on their own because they just don't want to talk to you, and they'll not respond to their names at all. Another sign that can show you a child could probably be developing autism, and in this sign is on social skills, is these children prefers to play alone. They don't want to play with their peers. They don't want to interact with their peers. Even when the peers are playing together, you find that for them, they self-exclude themselves and just want to be alone. They'll just play on their own and won't interact with others. And in the line of playing, you find that they are not also able to play the pretend games. When peers are together, you find that they form a family. They be the mom, someone pretending to be the mom, the doctor, the nurse, the children, and so on. So these children will not be able to play the pretend games. For example, where I am, children have dolls and they have given them names and named them. And if I can show you, for example, this is Trevor Sean, and Trevor Sean has even been given a mask so that he cannot get corona. But you see that this Trevor Sean can sometimes is given clothes, is put to bed. When he is sick, there is the doctor, and the doctor will give him an injection so that he can get well. But you find that children with autism are not able to play such games. They just be their own, and what they basically know is what they'll just do. They won't go that extra mile of playing games like the pretend game. And still on social skills, another sign that can show you a child could be developing autism is they avoid eye contact. Sometimes you could be talking to a child, but their eyesight is just somewhere in the air. They don't look at you directly. They don't want to see your eyes or even your face. So that is another sign on social skills. They don't want to see you direct into your face, and they're always avoiding that eye contact. And in that also, they also avoid physical contact. They don't want to be so close to people. They don't want to be touched, and sometimes they may not stretch out their arms to be helped with something. Or let's say you're walking along the road with this baby and you want to hold their hand, they be always pulling off their hand. They don't want to be held or to be helped physically. Moving on to the next, which are the communication skills. Some of the symptoms that associate with communication that can show you a child could be developing autism. The first sign is delayed communication skills and language skills in general, be it through speech or even the nonverbal cues. You find that these children may not be able to talk at all, or their speech is not just that clear. And in nonverbal cues, they also delay the nonverbal cues. They are not well developed yet, and until you assist this child to develop those nonverbal cues. And if I can show you a practical example, let's say we take a book. This is a book, and we open a page. Let's say here, this page, it's showing a girl, a boy, some food, could be a coffee kettle or something. So when you ask this child to point at what it is, because in normal cases if you can't speak something, you point at what you want. And in pointing, first we distinguish the index finger, because that is what we're using to point. So when you ask this, in normal cases, when you want to point, let's say you want to point at the boy, you just distinguish the index finger and then you point. The boy is here. That is pointing the boy. But in the case where someone could be developing autism, you find that when you ask them to point at a certain picture, or let's say the boy in this case, you find that they'll be using all their fingers and pointing that boy. So you see, it is not clear which finger is pointing at the boy. So the pointing is not so distinguished, and it is not so clear as compared to a child who is developing typically. Another sign that can also show you a child could be developing autism in terms of communication is echolalia. Echolalia is a state where a child repeats what you saying. For example, when you say, I want food, I want food, they also repeat, I want food. Or if you're asking them, are you hungry? They respond by saying, are you hungry? So it is, are you hungry? Are you hungry? They do not answer the question that you are asking. And in that case, they also have problems with pronouns, I and you. They do not know the difference. It is just, I want food. They also say, I want food. They do not know, say, let's say, when you're telling them, you are the best, they just say, you are the best. Or even when they want to tell you now, they might use the word I am the best, and yet they are referring to you. So they do not know how to use pronouns. Another sign also is that they are unable to stick to a topic when answering or when discussing with someone. For example, you are a parent and you're asking them, how was school today? What did the teacher say? You're expecting them to give you a feedback on how school was. But because they are not concentrating or their attention keeps shifting, they'll just answer you as to what they're seeing at that moment. For example, you're holding a phone in your hand and you're asking them about school, and for them they're just like, can you please give me the phone? You see, it is not in line with what you're discussing with them and what you're expecting them to answer you. And also, because they do not stick to a topic when discussing, they might also not be able to recognize jokes and sarcasm during a discussion or even a talk. Moving on to behavior. The first sign in association with behavior that can show you a child to be developing autism is repetitive behavior. For example, flipping hands. They can do this, just flip their hands for about even an hour or even 2 hours without getting tired. Another type of repetitive behavior could be rocking. They could be just be rocking themselves, and they're not on a rocker, they're just on a normal chair and they're just rocking themselves for about even 2 or 3 hours and they do not get tired. Another symptom also on behavior is fixation on a certain object or a certain activity. For example, they can be fixed, let's say, on our book that we used, and this child could be carrying this book from morning to evening without getting tired. You find that even when they want to go to school, they'll be always carrying their book. Some carry spoons. They can carry spoon throughout the day, and they're just with their spoon. Anytime you try to retrieve the spoon, they start getting tired, angry, they get so hyper, they just get distracted, so they have to walk with their spoon from home to school, school to home, until when they go to sleep. When they wake up, they want their spoon. So they get so attached or fixed to a certain object or a certain activity that they must do every day. Another sign on behavior is aggressive behavior towards self or even others. This aggressive behavior could be beating, could be biting, or just banging their head or banging even other people in their environment. So you find that they sometimes get so aggressive, and this aggressiveness, sometimes there is nothing that is triggering them. They just get so much aggressive. Another symptom is also that they could be so sensitive to touch, to light, and to sound. You find that they could be so extremely sensitive, let's say, to the sound of a microwave or even a blender. When you start blending, you find that they are closing their ears. You see, in normal cases, we don't close our ears when a blender is working. So they are so sensitive, and they are extremely sensitive to sound, lights, and even touch. Another sign also on behavior is that they are not able to imitate others when playing or when doing something. For example, when a music is playing and you're trying to dance, maybe you're putting your hands up, and let's say it's a singing game and you're singing for this child, and you're saying, like, if you're happy and clap your hands. You find that they are not able to clap their hands unless you teach them how to imitate you. So you'll just be singing and you're clapping, and they're not even doing what you're doing. Whereas a typically growing child, when you do something, they tend to imitate. When you clap, they also clap. When you, let's say, you open your mouth and you like Johnny and haha, you'll find that when you do ha ha ha, they're opening their mouth too and imitating what you are doing. But in the case of autism, they do not know how to imitate until when you will teach them how to start imitating. Another symptom also on behavior is choosy eating habits. These children could just be eating a specific type of food. Let's say they eat rice. They can choose to be only eating white food. Let's say they only eat rice, ugali, and any other white food. But when you try to mix this rice with let's say a stew, a beef stew or something, you find that they do not want to eat it at all. So until when you start introducing this food slowly, you find that their eating habits tend to be not so good, which can lead to malnutrition. And just to wind up, some other signs include lack of coordination and clumsiness, and sometimes they also act without thinking. You find that they just do what they think they can do. They're climbing up on chairs, even on the wall, and they're not thinking about what they are doing. So you find that these behaviors, or these are some of the symptoms that can show you a child could be developing autism. So when you see the red lights, you have to take the necessary measures. That was all for today's video. See you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more and more.